Hi, very good morning. A very warm welcome once again to your software classes. And today we are going to understand the importance of reading skills, the effective reading skills, and how do they make you a better person, why is it important for your professional life to read better, and how we can actually go ahead and do that, right? So, are you ready for coming on to this journey with me? Thank you so much. So, let us see what are the important components and the methods. What we are going to cover in this particular chapter is how to understand the components of reading. Yes, there are various components to reading, all right, and then understand the importance of reading. Why is it important for you to understand reading as a skill? Why is it important, and how does it apply to your professional behavior? So, for example, the last but not the least, we are going to apply these components to become better readers and therefore better professionals, to understanding whatever is given to us in a far better way, right? Let me try and help you here. So, moving on, reading actually sometimes puts life at stakes. Let us see some of these mistakes that have been made while reading out these sentences. Okay? Read out the first sentence for me. It says, we are going to learn to cut and paste kids. Oh my God. And then let us eat grandma, poor grandma. And last but not the least, I like cooking my family and friends. In your mind, try and say this sentence in the better way. I am going to help you with the last one. I like cooking my family and friends. And that is the better way of reading that. So, let me tell you the story of a judge who hadn't gone through this particular training, and he gave a judgment. So, what he wrote was, hang him, not let him go. However, he could not read it properly. So, the way he read it out was, hang him not, let him go. The criminal that day was a very happy person. All right. So, that is the importance of reading. What exactly is reading? What does it incorporate? It incorporates not only speaking, but articulation. Going further, we will understand what exactly articulation means, and it also incorporates a deeper understanding and meaningful deduction of the text. What do you understand by meaningful deduction of the text? What exactly were the feelings when this text was written? What exactly is the purpose of this text? Not only just the words, but what exactly is the client or the message meaning from within? And that is what is understanding the deduction of the particular text. So, for example, what exactly is the importance of reading, right? Let us try and understand why it is important for us to become better readers. Of course, without reading, you will not be able to get the gamut of knowledge, the whole world of knowledge that is open to you, and you will not be able to grasp more knowledge, because whenever we need to understand something, we need to read. Reading is something that helps you become gather more information about the subject that you are trying to see. It helps in your vocabulary building, it helps in understanding a passage better, it helps in understanding a situation better, because you are able to read about that particular situation from various angles, right. It also, in today's world with all this social media and everything, if you are a better reader, you will be able to understand the difference between fake news and the real news, and you will be able to interpret the situation better. You will be able to decipher what is wrong and what is right in a better way if you are a better reader, right. So, it is also a very important skill in finding a good job. How do we say that, right? Because if you are able to read better, specifically if you see that reading comprehension has now become a part of your aptitude test as well, right. So, in order to decipher that, why would if it was not important, why would the clients or the corporations put that as an aptitude test for you? Why would they go ahead and bring that in your aptitude assessment? Because they want to understand whether if a requirement or a text or a passage is given to you, how do you go ahead and interpret that? Are you able to understand that particular passage from various angles, or are you just able to get a gist of it and replicate it, or you're not able to do anything at all with it, right? So, that particular understanding has become a very important requirement of you clearing that aptitude test and getting through with the first level of your particular interview series. All right. Words are the building blocks of life. Whenever you want to express yourself, whenever you want to say something, whenever something needs to be conveyed, it is only the words that are going to be used in order to express that. Using those words properly, with proper punctuation, with proper understanding of what exactly is being said and how is it going to be said, is very, very important, and that has to be conveyed or carried forward to reading text as well, right? Okay. So, what is this? What is the difference between speaking and articulation? Why is it important to know this particular difference, right? Speaking is something that probably the first thing that you do when you come out, when you are born, right? So, that is the first, you need to cry, that is the first words that probably come out. So, you tell the world that by crying that I am here, and you are telling the world that you are here to stay, and you have made your loud presence felt, and that happens with a loud cry, right? And this is something that we have been doing. So, sometimes we do not go ahead and actually lay an importance to how we are speaking something. So, the difference between speaking and articulation is, speaking is words, speaking is just saying words, and articulation is how you say those words. Where do you go ahead and emphasize? Where do you go ahead and make an impact? How do you, what was your tone carrying at that particular time? What was being said and what was being meant, right? So, that some of the synonyms of articulation would be how to express, what was the way in which this particular sentence was delivered, what was the pronunciation of the particular word, how was it being said, right? So, these are all the components of reading, and it is very important. So, reading out loud something will have components of speaking in a particular way, and speaking with intonation, speaking with a particular tone is called articulation. It has various aspects to it, and they are all a part of your reading skills, and I will tell you how. So, when you are reading a comprehension, when you are trying to understand a passage, what is it exactly that we are trying to do over here? We are going to read the comprehension, understand what a particular text means, and then connect it with what exactly is the author trying to say. There are various levels to reading as well, reading on the surface and then trying to understand what this particular text means, and then going beyond the text and trying to understand what exactly is the author meaning by saying all this, what exactly is the meaning of this particular text, that is that probably is the feeling behind this particular text, right? Okay. So, your brain needs to process the information at 3 levels. Whenever you are reading a comprehension, if a comprehension has been given to you or a poem has been given to you, you need to understand it at 3 levels, right? So, your brain needs to process the information at the basic level of first going through the whole paragraph, right? Then trying to understand what is being said, and then trying to understand where is the context lying, right? The meaning of that particular text. This is the way the information needs to be processed properly. What is the relationship with each other? What is the meaning, or what is the relationship between the words and the meaning and the context? What exactly is being said, how it is being said, and why it is being said? So you have to understand these particular relationships. And language and vocabulary usage can impact emotions. So what do I mean by that? The way you are saying something, the way the vocabulary that is being used, they can actually impact the emotion and the meaning of what is being said, and that has the impact on the way the message is being conveyed, or the way the message is being read or understood by the audience, right? And when everything is put together, the meaning, the context, the words, the vocabulary that is being used, then the whole message comes together. Then is when you are able to get the whole meaning of the message that was being portrayed, right? So that is why reading a message in totality, reading a message in its total frame of the way it was being said is very important. And this goes beyond reading just the words. This goes beyond just knowing how to correctly pronounce the words. It takes us to a different level where we understand the meaning of those words. Only when you understand the meaning of those words and the meaning of the context from which this particular paragraph was written is when you will be able to bring the appropriate meaning to your reading. Okay? All right. And this is what I mean when I say that there are various levels of comprehension even when you're trying to read. You will not be able to bring passion into your reading. You will not be able to bring impact into your reading. You will not be able to convey the message correctly if you do not process the information that which you're reading at these three levels. So the first level is the literal level. You just read what is being what has been written, and that is the basic level. That is the literal level at which you are processing the information. Then comes the interpretive level. This information, everything is happening in your brain. So on the interpretive level, what you're doing is you are interpreting the data as it is. You're understanding the meaning of the words and you are interpreting the data as it is, right? And then comes the actual level where you will be able to put life into the words that you're reading, where you will be able to connect with the words that are being said. I am reaching out to the ardent readers and the people who read a lot of books amongst you. And you can understand, just like in a movie, sometimes it is so easy to get carried away into the character, into the scene that the writer has just built up for you. That is the applied level. That is the level where you are able to connect with the world of the writer, the context in which that was written. You are carried away in the scene that was given to you. And that is the applied level at which your brain works in order to understand the context of what you are reading. That's going deep into the meaning of what of the subject that you're particularly trying to understand and read, right? Okay. Now this is very important for you to understand even while reading. So when you're reading something, reading is done in two ways. Either you're just reading it for your own understanding or you're reading it out loud. Whenever we are reading it out loud, whenever we are trying to convey a message to someone, right, articulation plays a very, very important role in getting that message correctly through to the audience. What exactly is articulation once again? So articulation is reflection. You have already done the literal meaning. You've already done the interpretation level where you've interpreted what the words mean. Now you're coming to the application level and you're trying to understand what exactly is the context in which this particular text has been written, and you're reflecting as to how to convey the message. right? Okay. And this is very important before you start reading, because you need to understand the tone in which this message needs to be read out loud to your audiences. Okay? Now, the speech, is it going to be low? If it is a deep, serious message, how is it going to be read out? If it is an exciting message, how is it going to be read out, right? The intonation. Sometimes a lot of messages, a lot of things that you're trying to convey are lost in intonation, in the way your tone sounded at that particular time, at the way your pitch sounded at that particular time, right? Some people who generally have a loud voice like me, sometimes we have a tendency to speak with so much of excitement that people think that we are fighting with them, but that exactly is not true. We are probably just conveying our excitement that gets conveyed as you know, something else. So, intonation has a very important weight while delivering a message. Okay? Clarity of thoughts, clarity of idea, clarity of the way you are speaking, whether your pronunciation is correct or not, whether the words, sometimes there are similar sounding words, whether you've understood the exact meaning of those particular words and you're pronouncing them correctly or not, right? Okay. Emphasis. What is emphasis? Emphasis is what defines what particular message that you are trying to say. So, emphasis is one of the most important things when you're trying to read out something. Emphasis is you're laying you know, a deeper sound, a deeper let's say highlighting it with your words while speaking, and you're laying emphasis on something that is that actually is the message that you want to convey, right? So, let's say for example, I love you. Where is the emphasis on this? Try and work it out, because this emphasis will have a lot of meaning to what you were trying to say to the person to whom you're trying to say this. All right? Okay. So, let's move to the next level. And now understand what are the technical components of reading skills. Yes. So, reading also has a lot of technical components, and as you can see, language is one of them. Of course, if you know English, and if you know Hindi, and if you know maybe one of your own regional languages, and I give you a text, let's say for example, even in some Indian language which you are not aware of, it is going to be your first issue in trying and understanding what the particular text is all about. So, language and knowledge of that language, deeper knowledge of that language in order to derive the applicable level, in order to understand what the particular context was in which that paragraph has been written, is very important. Understanding the language is very, very important. Pronunciation of the words in a particular manner to convey the correct meaning, of course, and then punctuation. Hang him, not let him go, and hang him not, let him go. So, even while reading, it is very, very important to punctuate properly, otherwise the correct meaning of that particular sentence is not going to come out. Okay? Rate of speech. Sometimes some people have a habit of reading very fast, and when we are reading to an audience, when we are reading to ourselves, reading fast is perfectly fine, but when we are reading to an audience, trust me. So, I'll share something that is there in psychology. Your audience will have an attention span of less than 10 minutes and not more when you're trying to interact with them. When you're trying to read something out, this will even go lesser if your voice do not have the correct intonation, it does not have the correct pronunciation, it does not have the, if it is a monotone, nobody is going to be there with you for a very long time. So, you have to build up your case, you will have to build up variations in your voice. You will have to know how to connect with the audience in the correct way, so that your message and your audience both get the message correctly and your message is conveyed to them correctly, right? Okay. And vocabulary and comprehension is absolutely important as well. This is one of the bane of most of the students that I have seen. Sometimes what happens is, because we are not concentrating so much on reading, we are just doing our cursory work, our work which is given by our teachers, our assignments and stuff like that, but we are actually not reading anything apart from the academic books. So most of the students have a tendency to suffer as far as vocabulary is concerned. How, ma'am, am I going to build upon my vocabulary? Well, the only way to go ahead and build your vocabulary is by reading more and more fiction, non-fiction, papers, whatever attracts you. And you don't have to read the newspapers just because you want to become an IAS officer, or just because you want to appear for a particular competitive exam. It can, you should read because you want to become a better reader. You should read because you want to become a better speaker. You want to read because you need to have a good vocabulary in order to express yourself even in a professional environment. And that is how you go ahead and build your vocabulary, right? Comprehension relates to understanding of that particular vocabulary. If you have read a lot, if you know a lot of words, then comprehending something while reading it will not be a very difficult task for you. Okay? So, moving on. I am taking some of these as an example for pronunciation. Let us look at these particular words and pronounce them along with me if you want to. Of course, you can always go to Google and you can always write back to me and try and understand how to pronounce something, but Google and there is this audio button. Whenever you try to find the meaning of this meaning and the pronunciation, you will see this small audio button, a speaker is there. That's generally most of the times you will find the correct pronunciation. So, don't get confused about the English pronunciation or the American way of pronouncing something. We have in our country, most of the schools, and most of the way pronunciation that we are using is the British way of pronouncing something, and we can always adhere to that. That should not be a problem at all. As long as you are not going way on a tangent, it should not be a problem at all. So, let us come to resume. Resume or resume, right? Okay. Then let us come to the next one. It is a very poem. I am going to read a poem. That is not the way it is pronounced, it is called poem. Okay. Next one, coupon. I have got a coupon for that. It is coupon. Okay. Then data, data, data. Okay. Then this is something that you clear all the time when the cookies are not working, or when that's something in your browser. Most of us pronounce it as cache, but it's actually cache. All right. And then coming to the next one, February or February, February. Go ahead and pronounce that for yourself. Okay. Dengue, breakfast, Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. Pronounce that for yourself and try and find out the actual pronunciations. What we need to remember is that we are perpetual learners. If we don't know something, it is a good thing to go ahead and find out how to do that, rather than just sitting and wondering why I don't know that, or let us say for example killing yourself out of stress that I don't know and how am I going to fare. It's just a language. All you need to do is to take it upon yourself to learn it, and you learn it only by using it. Just like your other languages that you learn, the technical languages that you learn, you learn it better by using it more and more. Communication, you learn by reading, writing and speaking more and more. Okay? All right. So, let us read that phrase once again. Reading without reflecting is like eating without digesting. That can never be good for you. So, just reading through a lot of data, a lot of words and saying that I have read 10 books, but without knowing the actual meaning of why that particular phrase, book or subject was written in the first place, you will really not be able to apply anything in your day-to-day life. You will not be able to get into the depth of the text and it will not stay with you for long. It's like the nth hour preparation that you do when exams are there, right? Some of it you are able to retain, but most of it you are not able to retain until unless you have read it thoroughly, properly and you know and you have reflected upon it properly. That is when deeper understanding of a written text comes. Okay? All right. And the appropriate usage of the words that you are using. So, career, this is a very common mistake that most of, I am very focused on my career. Career has a different meaning than career. All right. Heart versus hurt, right? Okay. Then this is something very common that I come across when I'm people and person. So, you all understand this, and this is something very common which I have heard while the students are giving interview. Peoples, try and be conscious. So, the purpose of this particular session is to make you aware, and that's it, to make you aware that this is the way we are speaking and this is not the correct way. So, whenever we are using people, people already is a plural. We should not be using peoples with that, right. If we want to talk about one person, we use person and we do not use peoples, right. Okay. One, same pronunciation, different meanings, all right. Wait, same pronunciation, different meanings. You have to understand when to use what and what is the actual meaning of these particular words. There are various examples and you need to understand your own grasp of the words, and then these are very simple examples for that matter. If you are at a different level of understanding English, you need to become better at that. At this stage, I even try and go ahead and read at least 2 books every month, so that I am in touch with whatever is happening, and that actually adds to my vocabulary. There are so many words that you get to learn from each book that you read, right. So, it's a very simple appeal. Don't look back as students, as people who are going out in the world. Don't look back at what has happened. For example, you don't come from a completely English medium background. For example, let's say for example, in your school English was not used on a very frequent basis. That really doesn't matter. Be in the now. Look at what and where you are now, right. You are all technical students, you have done phenomenally well in your subjects. Go out, read as much as you can. Trust me, the more you read, the better you will be having your vocabulary, the better understanding you will be having as far as the text is concerned, the comprehension of that text is concerned. Your brain will be able to process the data far better, from the literal meaning to the interpretative meaning and then to the applied meaning of English as a language. I will not say that think in Hindi and then write in English or talk in English. I would say just go ahead and read English more and more, use the language more and more, and very soon they say it takes 90 days to go ahead and learn something. It takes 21 days to form a habit, and then eventually it takes 90 days to go ahead and actually that being internalized by your system. 90 days is nothing. It's just 3 months. Give yourself that opportunity to read as much as you can so that you become better readers in the next 3 months, right? Let's read that phrase, and it's a very important phrase. So, you are a reader and therefore a thinker, an observer, a living soul who wants more out of this human experience. There is another very favorite saying of mine. When you read a book of a famous writer, you're actually getting an opportunity to get their whole experience, 30 years experience, 40 years experience, their philosophy of life. It's like having them in your drawing room, sitting and sharing all these ideas over a cup of coffee with you. And that is a kind of experience that you will take years and years to accumulate. You want to be in a better position, you read better books. And first of all, you read, all right? Okay? And how do you go ahead and convey an effective message? So, we've been talking about reading. How do you process this? How do you go ahead and reflect and then bring out the exact meaning of what was written in your reading? Okay? So, while reading, and specifically this is related to reading out loud, your breathing is very, very important. You can't have, when you're reading out loud to people, you can't have your breath overtaking your words, your spoken words. So, breathe gently and breathe at a proper pace, take your time. This also will ensure that your rate of speech is controlled. Breathing is very, very important while reading out loud. Okay? Use normal English, use standard English. Do not use too many jargons. What are jargons? They are technical words. So, when you are reading out to a client, when you are reading out, let us say for example, to somebody whom you want to understand, make understand what is written in the text, use normal English. Do not use too many fancy words. Your message will be lost in translation. If you are using too many fancy words, psychologically the person will be stuck on your last sentence where there was a difficult word, and they will still be trying to understand the meaning of that word while you have moved on in your reading, all right. Articulate clearly, use the tone, the pitch, the intonation, everything clearly, and have a controlled pace. Vocal variety is the modulation that you actually use. So, again, while reading, emphasis has a very important role to convey the message that you are trying to say. So, for example, vocal variety is not reading in a monotone, not just going on and on and on and on. So, the audience has gone off to sleep. It is using various tones, various modes of emphasis, so that the text is interesting and the readers are actually interested in what you are trying to say, all right. So, let us understand this better through this exercise. Please read along with me. I have specifically taken this in Hindi so that it connects with everyone over here. खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी, सिंहासन हिल उठे राजवंशों ने भुगती तानी थी, बूढ़े भारत में आई फिर से नई जवानी थी, गुमी हुई आज़ादी की कीमत सबने पहचानी थी. Are you finding this interesting? Is this the way I am supposed to read this particular poem? Can you tell me a better way of reading this particular poem? I am sure many amongst you will be able to go ahead and read this in the most and the best possible way. So, let us go ahead and understand how we are going to apply this to the poem. What I did was literal level. I was just reading it at the literal level, probably a little bit of interpretive level. I am understanding that it is a poem about Jhansi ki Rani ji and how important it was. And she was a very important person. We she was a very impressive fighter. She fought for our country, and she was, she was a fighter queen. These are the things that we are getting at a particular, but when we reach the applied level, that is when we understand what and how this particular poem is supposed to be read. Okay? So, let us see. Let us go back to the poem and read it from the applied level. खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी, सिंहासन हिल उठे राजवंशों ने भुगती तानी थी, बूढ़े भारत में आई फिर से नई जवानी थी, गुमी हुई आज़ादी की कीमत सबने पहचानी थी, दूर फिरंगी को करने की सबने मन में ठानी थी, चमक उठी सन 57 में वो तलवार पुरानी थी, बुंदेले हर बोलों के मुंह हमने सुनी कहानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. All right, so let's now try and understand how do we go ahead and apply whatever we have done till now. I'm going to bring out one of my very favorite poems and let's try and read it. Okay? Please help me and read along with me if you can. It will be really nice. This is one of my favorite poems and this is of course Khoob Ladi Mardani. It's about Jhansi ki Rani. So let me try and read this for you. खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी, सिंहासन हिल उठे राजवंशों ने भुगती तानी थी, बूढ़े भारत में आई फिर से नई जवानी थी, गुमी हुई आज़ादी की कीमत सबने पहचानी थी, दूर फिरंगी को करने की सबने मन में ठानी थी. What is the impact that I am giving you right now? Is this the way this poem is supposed to be read? Can you do better? Can you move from the literal and the interpretational level and go into the applied level? Let me try and read this once again, and please read this for me in the way that this particular poem is supposed to be read. So this is basically something that we called a Veer Ras ki Kavita. It is supposed to have a lot of excitement, a lot of passion and a lot of fearlessness in it. So let me try and render this poem once again to you, and I am very sure that you can do better. Let's do this exercise. सिंहासन हिल उठे राजवंशों ने भृगती तानी थी, बूढ़े भारत में आई फिर से नई जवानी थी, गुमी हुई आज़ादी की कीमत सबने पहचानी थी, दूर फिरंगी को करने की सबने मन में ठानी थी, चमक उठी सन 57 में वो तलवार पुरानी थी, बुंदेले हर बोलों के मुंह हमने सुनी कहानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. I hope I was able to help you understand the difference between reading and reading. So please go ahead. This is, my dear students, a very, very important skill. It is very important in today's world to convey the message in the way that you really want to. And reading is going to make you better in so many ways. Read as much as you can. One of the reports that I have read very recently says that the most successful CEOs read at least 50 books in a year. We have 54 weeks, I guess. Now imagine where you are at and try and work reading books into your day-to-day life. You will become so much better in the language that you want to communicate in. Thank you so much. I will welcome all your questions in the comments section, and I will be there to help you out with any of the queries that you have. It will be a pleasure of mine. Thank you so much for being with me in this journey, and I'll be waiting for you in the next class. Thank you so much. Have a good day.